Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is February the 13th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday to ya. Hopefully this episode finds you in a good place, in a good space. Hopefully it's been a nice, maybe even a little spooky, hopefully a little lucky Friday the 13th for you. For me, I'd say my horseshoe landed. I feel like it was a good day. I really can't complain. We got up. I will say I was up too late, just on some shenanigan shit, which is kind of rare for me these days. Usually I'm too sleepy. I need to go to bed immediately. I know that. So like once midnight hits, I'm out of here. I'm gone. But you know, I stayed up a little later than I probably should have, and I was a bit tired to start off my morning, but we did get to work at a timely fashion, so that's good. We love to see that. And overall, I got to stay on the crusher all day. We love to see it. Also, I had a really good conversation with one of my coworkers who came in, who comes in on the second shift to replace me. They're always on some music stuff, so I've mentioned that before. And they got on the topic of this artist by the name of Hemlock Springs, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm trying to play that. I'm trying to play that shit right now." And they got their speaker, and so they're playing the music for me, and not just in general for themselves, because they're like, this is the artist for me. Like, I'm really feeling them right now. It just seems like banger after banger after banger. So, they're playing something, and I'm listening, I'm bopping to it. I'm like, this is slick. It was a nice vibe. So yeah, so much so that I actually was listening to it after work. So I was like, hell yeah. I always love when someone puts me onto something new and I actually fuck with it. You know what I mean? So we love to see that. We also got quote unquote, I'm saying quote unquote, it was an actual Valentine's Day treat, but by treat, I got a fun size pack of M&Ms, which, hey, I'm not complaining. I love a free thing, especially when it's M&Ms. So yeah, thumbs up there, thumbs up all around. Post work, we went to the gym. And it's Friday, so that means it's heavy lift day. Sorry, I'm losing my voice already. That's not good. But, I came in determined. I said to myself, hey, if there's a Smith machine open, we're going to go for the gusto. We just got to. It's the only way. And I got out and saw that there was a Smith machine, and I'm like, let's go. So I'm happy to say that we hit a couple of PRs. So clap it up already for that. I hit 370 on on my squat. So that's good. And I have to always put the asterisks. We're doing partial squats. If you saw my squat, you'd be like, that's not a squat, bro. You got to go way deeper, bro. And I'm like, I don't care. Go fuck yourself. I'm going to Planet Fitness on the Smith machine. I don't give a shit about anything. So, there's that, but we still put it on the board. But what I'm most proud of, as always, is the PR that we got on the deadlift. We hit the same 370 on the deady, and it felt so good. Like, at this point, every time I hit a PR on the deadlift, I'm doing an emote. Like, I am happy. I am banging my chest like I'm fucking King Kong. Like, I don't care. Ring the goddamn alarm. I want y'all to know I hit my shit, okay? Because it feels good, dude. It feels so, especially when I run back the week. Y'all have heard me for the past 2 weeks talking about fucking momentum and shit. Like I'm doing some goddamn NASCAR. And it was nice to be like, dude, fuck that shit, man. You got it in you. You can do it. You just gotta fucking go for the gusto sometimes. And even if you fail, that's okay. It doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means you don't have it today. That's all right. So, I went at it with that mentality. I was only able to get 1 rep, but hey, that's a good new max rep for me. I'll take it. And also another thing I was doing on the Smith machine today was I was adding like an extra like set or two for my bench and then also for my squat and for my deadlift. And I just did this impulsively. I just wanted to. Maybe it's just because I missed it, you know? But I knew that that was going to eat up a little bit more time, right? So that happened. Then we went to free weights. I hit some 70 dumbbells. That felt good. And then we did some core work, which also felt good. It feels weird to be able to kick up like 50 pounds worth of weight. Hell yeah. And then also I'm doing the chest dips with like 25s. So that also nice, but we've been doing that I think for about like a month now. And then we didn't do any filler work today. Actually, instead of filler work and pretty much 45 minutes of cardio, I just yapped with my friend. It was at the gym, so that was good. It was nice to catch up, you know, talk pump and talk life and stuff like that. It's always a vibe. And yeah, by the time everything was kind of wrapped up there, I was like, yeah, that's good. This is nice. I don't, as much as I would like to do some more cardio today, as much as it would, oh, actually, no, let me scratch that. I did get the filler in. Because what happened was, I did the Stairmaster, and then I looked at the clock. I'm like, I have 15 minutes left until it's like 7 o'clock. So let me just go ahead and try to get as much filler work in, and then we'll call it. You know, yeah, we missed 45 minutes of cardio. We'll live with that. And I was able to get everything in. That's the nice thing about my filler work is that it really is just hitting some extra spots. And, you know, you're doing like 12 reps on each thing that you're hitting. And it generally can just go pretty quick. It's nice. So yeah, that was my gym session. I'm going to mark that up as a big old W. Anytime I lift more, anytime I do a strength check and I pass it, we love to see it, baby. So yeah, post the gym, we came home, we got our stretch, we got a snack, and then we did some research. Pretty ho-hum Friday night things. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. I will say a bit of extra podcast talk in terms of just like things I've been listening to. I've been listening to Behind the Bastards, and they did a 4-parter recently on Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, old, young MBS, you know, the crown prince, the king in waiting, more or less, regent, more or less, I don't know. But it was interesting to get a good deep dive on his story. I will add that this is like, at least for the lineup on this one, was like 2 white guys talking about Middle Eastern stuff. So, I mean, that is what that is. But I mean, hey, all of my shtick is American guy who doesn't have a college degree talking about some bullshit. So, you know, who am I to fucking speak, right? But it was interesting just in general to learn a lot about him. You know, his rise and, you know, I guess some of his pitfalls as of right now, you know, where the story is. But also, I guess the specific highlight was on Jamal Khashoggi, which I guess I should issue a bit of a mea culpa. I know I've kind of been a bit flippant about that situation, and learning that, like, you know, he definitely was doing a lot of journalism, good journalism, solid journalism. And, you know, you get yourself in a situation where it's like, hey, I thought this was going to go one way. And I'm talking about my, you know, my home, you know, about the people who, you know, are my, you know, my people. And you're in this situation and you're talking about this guy who was supposed to be on the level and good. And it turns out like, nah, man, he's just like every other guy who's in these kind of situations. And you're like, all right, I should get out of here. And then the problem comes to you while you're at a consulate building trying to get your paperwork, you know, it's like a movie how he went out. Like it's definitely kind of sad. Like, oh, you know, I'm engaged, my fiance, getting the paperwork and everything, and they fucking do you up and chop up your body. That is pretty fucked. It's pretty gnarly. And you got me on that, you know. That being said, it's still nation state shit being nation state. I think that it's very frustrating to focus on this because I'm learning like, oh, but MBS was also literally a part of a whole ass genocide. Like there's that. There's also other crimes against his own people that he's done. There's a whole litany of things. That all being said, it's still one nation state talking about another nation state when we're saying like, oh, insert America here, insert, I don't know, UK, whatever, and we're talking about all the crimes that, the crown has done. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about what the U.S. has done. I don't know. And not for me doing a whole round of whataboutism or anything like that. It's just when we're using these kind of points, or the only point that people usually use is the Khashoggi thing, and saying, yeah, this is why you should boycott the Riyadh festival. It's like, dude, you should boycott then every festival, like anywhere, right? Like, I don't understand. There's got to be a better way of attacking these issues and problems, right? Because hell, also let me add this. This is not me ever being an MBS stan. So I will say I'll be one of the many who say fuck MBS. There you go. Boom. I don't know. I felt like it was important to, I guess, maybe correct the record, massage the record, if you will, because I don't know. I still have my take. I haven't come off of it, but I do realize that I've just been a bit whatever. When it's like, damn, no, that was a really fucked up story, right? But anyway, let's go ahead and do that startup. I literally told myself before I did this episode, I said, you don't have to talk about it. I'm like, no, I want to talk about it. All right, our first story comes from the Straits Times. Son of Bangladesh's former PM poised for power as BNP sweeps polls. Bangladesh's opposition, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or the BNP, won a landslide parliamentary election on February 13th, returning to power after nearly 2 decades and positioning party leader Tariq Rahman to become prime minister as the country emerges from months of unrest and economic disruption. Mr. Rahman, who is the son of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia, and returned to Dhaka in December after nearly 2 decades abroad, faces immediate challenges in restoring political stability, reviving investor confidence, and rebuilding key industries, including the garment sector, after prolonged turmoil that followed the collapse of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government in 2024. Also, I believe, I guess a little quick update on her, they did try her and convict her of death in absentia. So obviously, the absentia is an important asterisk there. I believe she is still in India. And no signs of her coming back home. Also, the Awami League, which was her party, was forbidden to run in elections, which, obviously people within that group, people who are supporters of that group were like, well, that's not fair. That's not right. This clearly makes it a sham election. And it's like, there's a kind of cruel irony to that, because essentially Sheikh Hasina, it was, definitely alleged that she was doing an oppression campaign to keep power. So yeah, it's a bit awkward there, right? But anyway, an interim government led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has been charged since then. A clear outcome had been viewed as key for stability in the Muslim-majority nation of 175 million, after months of deadly anti-Hasina unrest disrupted everyday life and industries, including garment manufacturing. Bangladesh is the number 2 exporter of garments in the world. The official count in a vote viewed as the South Asian nation's first truly competitive election in years gave the BNP and its allies at least 212 of the 299 seats up for grabs, the election commission said. The opposition Jamaat-e-Islami and its allies won 77 seats in the Jatiya Sangsad, or House of the Nation. The National Citizen Party, or the NCP, led by youth activists who played a key role in toppling Hasina, won just 6 of the 30 seats that it contested. The NCP is a part of the Jamaat-led alliance. Now, I guess just me taking a quick scan of what's available in terms of like your party selections, and also not knowing a lot about the region, not knowing a lot of the details that you definitely need. Obviously, this is above my pay grade, but here I am hip deep in it. I would think that the NCP would be the party that I would want to see win here. In terms of alignment, but I mean, the BNP is definitely talking a really good game. It seems like they definitely do have the history with the people. I think that they were a very strong front runner even in the Hasina time, and they were literally like pushed back. This is a bit of a role reversal there. But when I hear the term nationalist, I get weary. You know, I don't really care what flavor we're talking about. A nationalist is a nationalist, and like this kind of runs back to a fear I always have with this, where it's like, hey man, I love being passionate about where you're from, what you're about, you know, rep your set. That's so fucking cool. I mentioned in the previous episode talking about the Olympics, like it's fun to get that fervor and like really root for your people, yourself. Like that's great. It's great to bet on you. The problem with that kind of shit though is it starts to be like, yeah, it's for us, fuck the rest. And like that's always a crazy fear for me, or like it's a worry, it's a concern, right? And maybe I'm being completely out of pocket with this, and I don't want to put that label on them like that's how they're gonna move. Sometimes a party label is just a party label, right? Like in the same way that I hate that like there's a quote unquote liberal party running Japan. That's not the fucking case. You know, it can be like this where you have a quote unquote nationalist party that isn't really that nationalist when you break it down. They're actually just, yeah, no, we're for the people. Okay, that's what we're about. And like in that case, hell fucking yeah, I'm a fucking dumbass. You know what I mean? So I don't really want to overvalue you know, my dumbass take over anything that's actually happening. Also too, if the two front runners are what they are, that's what the people are wanting to pick. Like at the end of the day, who fucking cares what I think? Who cares a fuck about my goddamn dumbass take, right? Like these are the front running parties. That's what it's gonna be. It's just like in an Argentina situation. You know what I mean? Obviously, I wasn't rooting for Javier Milei, but they picked that motherfucker. They got that motherfucker, and that's what they're rocking with. You know, love it or hate it. That's the bed they wanted to roll up in, right? Like who am I to fucking say? Anywho. Mr. Rahman, 60, has not commented more than 15 hours. Yeah, okay, I didn't read this yet. Mr. Rahman, 60, has not commented more than 15 hours since trends in favor of his party became clear. He smiled and waved from his vehicle to journalists gathered outside his house in Dhaka as he left for a mosque, television footage showed. The BNP asked people to refrain from large celebrations and offer special prayers on February 13th instead. Despite winning by a large margin of votes, no celebratory procession or rally shall be organized by the BNP, the party said in a statement, calling for prayers nationwide. In its manifesto, the BNP promised to prioritize job creation, protect low-income and marginal households, and ensure fair prices to farmers. See, so that sounds great. If they're going to stick to shit like that, then like 2 thumbs up, brother. I'm happy. I'm rooting for Mr. Rahman, and especially if that's, you know, in that regard, totally. But time's going to tell. It's a new chapter. It's a new path. For Bangladesh, and it's really cool because, like, you know, I definitely remember going back to that moment with Sheikh Hasina. You know, like people were motherfucking dying in the streets, and you know that's still been a thing. There's still been a lot of you know, upheaval. So hopefully things are, you know, moving forward in a positive direction. That's what we're rooting for. All right, let's move on. We gotta talk. It's Trump time. we're back in the Trumpverse, baby. Man, we really come back here a lot. It's like our fucking like Oblivion Ring world, you know? Like we just gotta come here and like just deal with the scamps, you know? Deal with the problems. But this is actually weird. This one's a weird one. This one made me feel weird. I had like a freakazoid moment. I came all the way around on the spectrum emotionally. So let me take a water break actually. And we gotta talk Trump. We gotta talk pardons. And we gotta talk my favorite thing, sports. Football, American football. Yeah, throw the pigskin, Johnny. All right. From Yahoo Sports. President Trump pardons 5 former NFL players for various crimes, including Jamal Lewis, Nate Newton, and Joe Klecko. That's a fun name. Klecko. ColecoVision. I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of mouse issues. Bear with me. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. All right, we're back. And we're back. Let's see here. President Donald Trump pardoned 5 former NFL players for various criminal convictions, including drug trafficking and perjury. The players who received clemency were Nate Newton, Jamal Lewis, Joe Klecko, Travis Henry, and the late Billy Cannon. White House pardon czar Alice Marie Johnson announced the decisions on social media. Excuse me. Now, I fucking hate this quote, actually. As football reminds us, excellence is built on grit, grace, and the courage to rise again, Johnson wrote in her post. So is our nation. Grateful to POTUS for his continued commitment to second chances, she added. Mercy changes lives. The latter of this is fine. If you can say, good for Donald Trump giving people the opportunity to have this quote unquote grace. Because I think with these pardons and these clemencies, like essentially you've already served your time or whatever, yada yada yada. We're essentially just waving the wand on it. Cool. But like, to say that this is some kind of merit-based thing, and the merit that you're saying, the metric here, is that you're a famous, renowned football player, is fucking bullshit. It to me, this only shows that the charges, the fucking quote-unquote crime was nothing. It was nothing but a thing to throw you in jail or throw you into the system to make you pay a fucking fuck ton of money. That's all it was for. And now we're like, well, you got the right president. You're good to go now. Get out of here. Get out of here, Mr. Klecko Vision. Like, what? Like that. I'm not saying it's wild to me, but it is nauseating to me. But then I think, well, this is good. These guys are getting out, or at least pardoned, whatever, forgiven legally, like, for shit that is bullshit, right? And it actually is something that you can kind of now fully leave behind you in a way, right? So that's cool, but I guess we can go ahead and run them down. Johnson held up the pardon document for Newton in an accompanying photo, saying that Cowboys owner Jerry Jones personally gave the news to the 2-time All-Pro and 6-time Pro Bowler. Newton, who won 3 Super Bowl championships with the Cowboys during his NFL seasons, pleaded guilty in 2001 to a federal drug trafficking charge after officers found 175 pounds of marijuana and $10,000 after searching his vehicle during a traffic stop. He was convicted and sentenced to 30 months in prison. Lewis played for the Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns, winning a Super Bowl and earning All-Pro and Ball-Pro honors during his 9-year career. He was named NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2003 after rushing for 2,066 yards. In 2004, Lewis pleaded guilty to conspiring to possess charge for using a cell phone to set up a drug deal. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison. Klecko was named to Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2023 for his 12-year NFL career. 11 of those seasons played with the New York Jets. He pleaded guilty to perjury in 1993 for lying to a federal grand jury that he was investigating insurance fraud charges. Klecko served 3 months in federal prison. Henry played for the Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans, and Denver Broncos in 7 NFL seasons and was named to the Pro Bowl in 2002. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to traffic cocaine in 2009. Henry was alleged to be the money guy was alleged to be the money guy in a cocaine trafficking ring from Colorado to Montana. He was eventually sentenced to 3 years in prison, but was released from custody after 2. Cannon was the NFL's number 1 overall draft pick in 1960 out of LSU and was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2008. He was selected by the Los Angeles Rams, but he played for the Houston Oilers and Oakland Raiders in the AFL before ending his 11-year pro career with the Kansas City Chiefs. Cannon admitted to counterfeiting in 1983 after several bad real estate investments left him in debt. He served 2.5 years in prison. Cannon died in 2018 at 80 years old. So, I mean, cool. I'm glad that these guys got out. Like, when I actually looked at the charges, looked at, like, what was going on here, cool. But just once again, basing it on the quote-unquote merits of their football careers, it's just like, What? Like, no, dude. This should not be any kind of dumbass popularity contest. That should not be what gets you out of prison. It should just be you're like the right guy. Like, you didn't do what they said, or like the crime isn't really a crime. Like, and it's proven. We've you know. I don't. It's frustrating to see this shit play out like this. You know what I mean? But the end result is like, okay, this time. Like, sometimes a broken clock and all that, but it still rubs me wrong for sure. We're still booing, we're still booing Donald Trump, So tomatoes, get them out. Anyway, actually, hold the tomato. We gotta talk some fish, and then we gotta talk another thing. But let's start here. It's recall time. Total recall. Eyewitness News, ABC 7. Salmon sold at BJ's store in New York, New Jersey, recalled due to possible listeria contamination. A recall has been issued involving salmon sold at BJ's Wholesale Club stores in several states, including New York and New Jersey. Slade Gordon and Company is recalling 2-pound bags of its Wesley Farms farm-raised Atlantic salmon after FDA testing found listeria in a random sample. The affected product was sold at BJ's stores in several states between January 31st and February 7th. BJ's is notifying members who have purchased the salmon while the company investigates how the contamination happened. They do have a number here. I don't feel like listing it out this time, but obviously you can go check it out if you think your fish is affected. If you think you got that bad salmon, go ahead and call that in, mate. Or the fucking vibes. Buyer beware, of course. Usually I feel like the general tip, I'm obviously not an expert or anything like that, but you can, if you have the receipt, you can get your money, get your exchange maybe. You can always turn that back. Or, hey, you can't. Let's not get listeria, okay? Let's not ruin our Valentine's Day. Let's just chuck it, okay? Let's just move on. But anyway, we have one more story, and then we go ahead and close it out. But we had to talk about some bad fish, and we got to close it out on some bad chips. So let's go ahead and take our last break, and we'll close it out. Oh, yeah. Oh. All right. Our last story is coming from Fox 8 Cleveland, WJW. Nearly 650,000 pounds of tater tots recalled due to plastic contamination, FDA. Federal health officials are expanding a recall for tater tot products distributed in more than 24 U.S. states, including Ohio, that's right, Ohio, because they may be contaminated with pieces of hard plastic. We're not even talking soft plastic. We're talking about hard shit. It's going to cut your fucking shit up, brother. The recalled tater tots originated from the firm McCain Foods in Idaho. They were distributed in large quantities to food service clients. Importantly, they were not for sale at retail stores, according to the Food and Drug Administration recall notice. So that's maybe a bit of good news. The FDA announced on Tuesday that additional batch codes are now available in the voluntary recall. There is a link in the article. The products are being recalled for foreign materials, as they may contain small, hard plastic fragments. They have a list of 28 states. We're not listing all of them. I did say that Ohio got a mention, Florida as well. Hey, this goes all the way to Hawaii. So, once again, by all means, check it out. Let's see here. And then there are Ore-Ida tater tot shaped potatoes. They list all of the bulleted stats here in batch codes. Then another one, I don't know why this made me laugh, but Sonic Tots. And it's the reason I laugh is I'm like, what the fuck are Sonic Tots? And then I realized, oh, you dummy, Sonic, the hamburger stand, with the little car hops, Sonic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that infers that like people are buying Sonic brand tater tots because they just love the vibe of it. Like, or God forbid, maybe I'm wrong and they just love that good taste of a Sonic tater tot. I'm sorry. Look, and I we're gonna take an aside here as we close out. I used to love Sonic. Okay. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, I was a big fan of Sonic the Burger Stand. Okay. It was, and I think the reason I loved it so much was because it was a far enough away thing that like I couldn't get access to it like when I was younger, right? We had moved here. I don't believe either there wasn't a Sonic here or they built it and it was just cross town. And at one point I finally go with my dad, and I remember we go and I just ate the food. It was like just a burger and a fry and a drink. And the drink had the cube ice, which you gotta love the cube ice, man. The little cubes, it's decadent. And then the burger, maybe this is controversial to some because I've definitely talked to some people and they're like, ugh, Sonic, gross. But Sonic, especially back in the day, that was hitting. That was a vibe. I loved it. Then I find out later you can get all kinds of combinations on your drinks. So, next thing you know, I'm getting an ocean spray. What the fuck is an ocean spray coconut drink, man? Shit was blue. It's so good though. I overall fuck with the fries. I think they had corn dogs. They got chili cheese fries. They put some chili on that shit, and they skated it all out to you. So what I'm getting at is, like, for me, the burgers were peak. But not the tots. There was nothing memorable about the tots at all. They should get like a burger thing that I could like put in a microwave. Maybe I would get that. But like, it just made me wonder. Like, people are buying Sonic Tots, and no, wait, Sonic Tots, not Sonic Thoughts. Anyway, but now they got the plastic in them. That's no good. Could you imagine? That's not how you want to go out, choking on a plastic Sonic Tot. No way. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have. Obviously, once again, the buyer beware. You know the fucking vibes. You know what to do. Be careful. If you got any of this somehow, some way, same as before. Second verse, same as the first. All right. But yes, that is the episode. That is all we have for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you'd like to listen. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. They're always appreciated. Sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And but if you don't do any of that, that's all good. I appreciate you just hanging out with me, letting you yap about my day, about some news at hand, some bad fish, some bad chips, governor. But yeah, that's it. That's the end. That's the end of the episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.